Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We are from Group 49 and today we'd like to present our machine learning project. Here is the brief outline of the following presentation. First, it is the brief overview of the project. We have chosen the plant seedling competition to attempt on Kaggle. As we all know, weeds are a nuisance for farmers as they compete for the same nutrients and space with the intended crops, resulting in suboptimal yields. Furthermore, weeds can sometimes be challenging to differentiate from the other plants with the naked eye. Our project aims to attempt this very problem, which is the topic of a Kaggle competition called as plant seedling classification, which is a multi-class classification problem. This project aims to apply machine learning techniques to design a model capable of classifying different types of plant seedlings to filter out these undesired growths. The goal is to classify new unseen plant seedlings into one of the 12 species accurately by designing and applying machine learning techniques. By achieving this, we aim to provide farmers with a method of protecting their crops and farms from these weeds. In Kaggle, the performance of the machine learning models are evaluated using the micro-averaged F1 score, which is computed based on the positive and negative rates of each class K as formulated. To achieve this goal, we attempted different models and methods to determine the optimal model based on the evaluation score and propose further investigations on improving the model and obtaining the best results. Moving on to the initial ideation, we present the initial data analysis done to explore the dataset. The plant seedling dataset is recorded at Aarhus University Flakebjerg Research Station in a collaboration between the University of Southern Denmark and Aarhus University. The dataset contains approximately 960 unique plant seedlings belonging to 12 species at several growth stages. This dataset comprises images from 12 different species, namely black grass, charlock, cleavers, common chickweed, common wheat, fat hen, loose silky bent, maize scentless mayweed, shepherd's purse, small flowered cranesbill and the sugar beet. The images were taken at different stages of each plant's growth. The dataset is split into 4,750 images as a training set and 794 images is the test set. We used an incremental approach to solve the classification problem in this project. The pre-processing methods of the dataset, including data augmentation, image segmentation and weighted class. The classification models used custom 3 layers and 6 layers convolutional neural network as a baseline model. We also adopted transfer learning, a popular deep learning approach using a pre-trained model for our image classification task. We performed transfer learning using pre-trained models from carers such as Inception ResNet v2 and Exception. These two models generally perform better as feature selectors with modified connected to fully connected layers. We then perform model optimization on our best performing model to further enhance our accuracy, which will be further discussed in the subsequent section. Before creating our predictive model, we first conduct some fundamental exploratory data analysis on the dataset provided to us, such as data distribution and data visualization. To map the distribution of our dataset, we decided to generate a data frame that maps each image from their respective directory structure to the labeled ground truth. After that, we utilize the data frame to plot the distribution of seedling species within the training dataset. We attempt to understand the distribution of the entire dataset using the data frame generated. From the figure above, we can see that there exist some limitations to our dataset. Firstly, we can observe that the number of training set in each species is not significant. Additionally, there exists a large degree of data imbalance. The number of images within each class ranges between 221 and 654, out of 4,750 images. For example, there are 654 training samples, 14% of the entire training set, that belong to loose silky bent, while there are only 221 samples, 5%, that belong to common wheat. There are 2 steps for data pre-processing: train validation split and image segmentation. For train validation split, the training data was randomly sorted and divided into 2 parts, 80% for training and 20% for validation. To maintain the same distribution, we will be using stratified k-fold cross-validation as a resampling procedure to split the data sample into groups. In our stratified k-fold, we will evenly divide the training dataset into 5 folds. All images were also cropped to the same size, 256 × 256, and normalized to the range -1, 1. For image segmentation, we attempt to segment the plant seedlings from the background. We try to use hysteresis thresholding to see if we can obtain the masked image that generalizes well across all images. Hysteresis threshold values are determined via the RGB, HSV colors space. Since seedlings are green, we attempt to extract only the green parts of the plants. For that, we first do a pixel sampling from random images from each class in the directory structure and get the result shown in the we convert the image into RGB and plotted the distribution. From the RGB spectrum, we can observe that the green regions are separated from the rest of the colors. Hence, we deduce that the green pixels are separable from the rest of the spectrum. However, using the RGB range to filter green RGB values is challenging due to the shape of the distribution within the 3D space. We can observe clusters of colors from the HSV space, and it is separated across the hue axis. We can deduce that the green cluster comes from the plants, brown from the soil, gray and white from other objects. Therefore, by bounding the HSV values in the hue axis, we may be able to segment the green color from the rest of the images. Plotting the HSV in hue and value axis allows us to better visualize the color distribution in the HSV space. A window can bound the green color from hue values ranging from 24 to 55 and saturation values ranging from 50 to 255. To better visualize the effectiveness of the threshold values from the segmentation mask, we randomly grab an image from each class and mask the background using the threshold value derived from the HSV space. Data augmentation was employed to generate a more extensive training set. This was realized by applying random flips, rotations and zoom to our images in addition to the image segmentation function defined above. We attempt to use the most straightforward approach to balance out the imbalance in the dataset, using weighted class. By calculating the inverse document frequency of each image in the class and normalizing to get the corresponding weight coefficient. Weight balancing balances our data by altering the weight that each training example carries when computing the loss. Now, we'd like to talk about iterative ideation, that is, applying iterative approach in IDA. Convolutional neural network, CNN, is implemented in our experiment. This is because CNN, a feed-forward neural network, is well known for its relatively high performance for such a shallow architecture. We also adopted transfer learning, a machine learning method that uses a network pre-trained on one dataset to solve the classification task on another dataset. These approaches are commonly used in many different computer vision tasks, such as image classification. Each of the methods is evaluated against the validation datas. Method 1 is the 3-layer CNN, which will be used as a baseline for comparison with other models. The model consists of 3 convolution layers and 2 fully connected, dense, layers. Following each convolution layer, there is a max pooling layer and dropout. For these convolution layers, we are also using ReLU as the activation function. We also flattened our layers and included dropout within the fully connected layer followed by a soft max layer. This model architecture will be used as our baseline model for evaluation. Also, we will be testing our image segmentation mask to prove the validation accuracy of our model. We used this model architecture with and without pre-processing, comparing their accuracies. The model trained over 100 epochs in both scenarios and evaluated on 20% of the training data. Here are the plots for accuracy and loss of 3-layer CNN model without pre-processing, along with the Kaggle score. But then with pre-processing, we can see that the plots for accuracy of 3-layer CNN model increases along with the Kaggle score. So, we can conclude that our segmentation mask during pre-processing allows our model to perform better. Henceforth, we will include our custom segmentation mask as part of our pre-processing pipeline in our future model training. Second method implemented by our team was the 6-layer CNN. The 6 layers CNN experiment implemented a model consisting of 6 convolution layers, and 3 fully connected layers are used. Following each convolution layer, there is a batch normalization layer and a ReLU activation layer. Each max pooling layer and dropout will be appended after 2 convolutional layers. We have also implemented a batch normalization layer for the fully connected layers, a dropout layer, and a ReLU activation for the first 2 fully connected layers. Our last fully connected layer will be a soft max layer to generate an output of 12 classes. The above result shows that the performance of the 6-layer CNN model is higher than the 3-layer CNN model. Transfer learning is a machine learning technique that enables programmers to benefit from the knowledge gained from a previously used machine learning model for a similar task. This learning is a popular approach in deep learning where pre-trained models are used as the starting point on computer vision and NLP tasks, given the high computation and time resources required to develop and train these models from scratch. Transfer learning offers a better starting point and can perform some tasks with pre-trained weight without any training. With a better starting point, transfer learning allows a machine learning model to converge at a higher performance at much faster pace. We are going to apply the concept of transfer learning for our subsequent methods. The third method, Inception ResNet v2, is a convolutional neural network with one dense layer that trained on more than 1 million images from the ImageNet database. The network is 164 layers deep and can classify images into 1,000 object categories, such as keyboard, mouse, pencil, and many animals. The model is built on the Inception family of architectures but incorporates residual connections, replacing the filter concatenation stage of the Inception architecture. We also implemented Inception ResNet v2 with fine-tuning. Unlike others, all the parameters on the Inception ResNet v2 network are updated during training. The best validation accuracy achieved using Inception ResNet v2 with fine-tuning was 96.92% and the Kaggle F-score came out to be 93.95%. The figure shows that the performance of the Inception ResNet v2 one-layer model is better than the 6-layer CNN model. This figure shows the performance and the Kaggle score of Inception ResNet v2 with fine-tuning, which comes out to be 93.95%. For the fourth method, our team implemented the ExceptionsNet model. The creator of Keras library proposed this model. It extends the Inception network, which replaces the standard Inception modules with depthwise separable convolutions and outputs a 2048-dimension feature vector. The accuracy of this model is 96.95% and the Kaggle F-score comes out to be 95.47%. Here we can see the results of ExceptionsNet as we discussed in the last slide along with the plots for training accuracy and loss. Moving on to the final part of our presentation, we conclude by presenting the performance comparison table of all models and final evaluation on Kaggle. Given in this table is the overall evaluation of all the implemented models. Among all the pre-trained models, we could see that Exception and Inception ResNet v2, modified, has the highest validation accuracy of 96.95% and 96.92% respectively. Our team finished at a decent 262nd position in a competition where a total 836 teams participated on Kaggle. That put us roughly in the top 30 percentile with our F-score coming out to be a solid 97.1%. In this project, we tackled a popular real Kaggle machine learning problem and conducted several experiments to evaluate different solutions. Through our efforts, we learned many practical skills and gained valuable knowledge on applying machine learning concepts. Thank you to the professor and the teaching assistants for this course and to our audience for listening to the presentation as well.